Hi, you're watching WION. I am Sana Khan. The period between the years 2014 and 15 has seen a huge spike in honor killing cases in India reported, and this word is important in the context because reported murders over family shame surged from 28 in 2014 to 251 last year. These numbers were presented in Parliament. Now, there could be several reasons for this massive spike. Are such cases being underreported? Why is it that the Indian society is unwilling to accept the choices that young men and women make when it comes to their partners? And what about a strict law to deter such crimes? We talk about this at length over the next few minutes. Joining me on the show this evening is Dr. Jayanti Datta, psychologist, women and child rights activist as well. But before that, let's take a quick look at this report filed by my colleague Manoj Kevalramani.
It is an issue that has long been discussed, but the latest figures on honor killings in India are a wake-up call for the nation. Earlier this month, the country's junior Home Minister told Parliament that there were 251 reported cases of honor killings in 2015. That's an increase of nearly 800% in comparison to the cases reported in 2014. While the percentage spike is alarming, most activists believe that this is largely a reflection of an increase in the reporting of these cases. Honor killings refer to cases where young women and men are punished for defying communal customs by marrying outside of their religion, clan, or caste. Often the perpetrators of these crimes are either part of a community or family members who seek retribution for the couple having brought shame to the family or community. Despite such cases being reported in the media for years, India began collection of specific data on honor killings only from January 2014. The exercise began following increasing pressure from rights groups. In fact, many of them are now demanding a specific legislation to deal with such crimes. In August 2012, the Law Commission proposed a framework for a legislation to crack down on honor killings. But since then, there has been little movement forward. The government says that given the nature of the issue, in order to enact a law, it will have to take on board the comments of all states and stakeholders. Until then, it seems that freedom of choice will be sacrificed at the altar of honor. In New Delhi, this is Manoj Kevalramani, WION.
All right, let's quickly go across to Dr. Jayanti Datta. Thanks so much, first of all, for joining us here in the WION studio. If we talk about honor killings in India, this is not a new phenomenon. Why has it taken the government so long to start collecting data, A? And how do we take this data? Do we take it at face value, or is it just the tip of the iceberg?
It's the tip of the iceberg. It's been there for so long, and we've been raising our voice. We've been wanting a deterrent punishment, but there isn't any. See, this is a fundamental right. When you meddle with the fundamental right of your citizen, it's high time the Constitution should take a very strong view about it and do something about it. You see, when you indulge in honor killing, you are not indulging only in a criminal activity, which is, to be honest, it should be punished equally. You know, you're killing somebody. But at the same time, the fault lies in your upbringing also. If you've not been able to bring up the child in a way so that the child abides by your norms, this is one aspect. The second and more dangerous aspect is you are nurturing a communal kind of, percept, which should be killed in the beginning itself.
Right at the start, right.
Yes.
But that doesn't answer the question. Why did it take the Indian government so long to decide that, yes, honor killings are happening, that's a given, but let's start collecting data, let's get the numbers and then
data is available. Data is available. Universities, if you search around, there will be so many postgraduate research studies, doctoral studies. We've been fighting about it, but yes, it is difficult for anyone to come up with an immediate, penalty or punishment for it, because it involves so many sensitive issues, because then people might say you are interfering with our own system, we have our own custom. How can you interfere? Now, this is one aspect, like triple talaq we talked about, rape victims we talked about. Similarly, this is another aspect where it's high time one has to take an stringent punishment kind of a thing for this kind of indulgence, because you are playing foul with the life of a human being. I have a right to my life. What I choose, for that you are killing, you know. So it's a criminal offense. Anyone who indulges or interferes with your fundamental right should be punished. It's an offense.
Now, Dr. Datta, now that means that when we talk about killings, they do not only necessarily are done by the family members who are upset, by the society at large. How important in that case do you think then a strict law, a law which is specially focused to tackle cases of honor killings, needed in a country like India, where the government now says that the spike of nearly 800% from some 25, 26 cases in 2014, it's come up with a huge number of 251, but that's still unofficial. Many other cases go unreported.
They are not reported. You know why? Because the community goes against you. If you don't take the step, you know, killing of two people, people feel that it saves my family, it saves my rest of the members. Right. It's not question of honor. Really, to be honest about it, it's not that honor as such. It's the threat that there will be a boycott, social boycott. You'll be thrown out of the village. Nobody will be cooperative with you. And the rest of the members, you know, if you have the rest of the offsprings, their marriage, their freedom gets affected. And that is the fear component. You see, there are provinces in India where, though there is so much of hype about, you know, send the girls to the school, but they are not able to send the girls to the school only because of this rowdyism, you know, that your girls should not be sent to the schools.
Right.
And there again, there is a failure.
So it's a matter more of social reform as well. So how
with
best
protection. With legal
absolutely
protection.
So how best, I think the best way to do it, to work in tandem with the law, but to focus more on social reform, do you think that will perhaps work best in India's scenario?
Yes, because in anything you do in India, if you don't have the social backing, you know, it culminates down to the attitudinal change. And changing the attitude is not an easy task. You have to come up with a very strong declaration and punishment. Action wise also you have to show that yes, you cannot go ahead, keep doing this kind of thing. And there are provinces, you know, there are compartments in the nation, there are certain cities, there are certain compartments where this has been practiced rampantly.
Rampant, since God knows when.
And this has been going on.
Right.
And though there is, every time this happens, there is the media which raises its voice, we talk about it, we protest, we do dharnas, and then everything dies down. Yes.
Right.
And then it continues.
So do you think this idea by the government to start collecting numbers, maybe these numbers do not include many other unreported cases, but just this idea of reporting these numbers, maybe it's just 251 at the moment, but will this raise more awareness and help in bringing about that social reform? Because we know that something as big as social reform takes years. It doesn't happen overnight.
But this has been there for decades. So if you really thought about reforms, government, if they want to bring about the change, they already know the sensitive spots where this is happening.
They have to come up with a law now.
Yes, they have to come up with the punishment.
Right.
And they have to really carry it out. You know, it's not like rape victims. You see, we argue, we fight, and there is a declaration, then there is a stalling of the punishment. That should not happen. Whenever, if you are very straightforward in declaring that this is the punishment if you interfere with the fundamental rights, we will not tolerate. You know, you need a zero tolerance for this, whether it's a rape victim or it's an honor killing. It's no honor. You are indulging in criminal activities. You are a perpetrator, and you ought to be punished.
And that's the view perhaps the courts should take. But how does one ensure law enforcement when a community is involved? If we talk about the Khap panchayats, and then they're linked to the local panchayats, linked to the vote banks. So there the vote bank politics comes in. So it becomes a very complicated sort of a quagmire, how to get rid of it.
Sana, as I said, if you indulge in only politics and the vote banking, you cannot render the services for the welfare of the community. Whether it's a welfare for the fetus, for the child, for the women. If you say beti bachao, beti padhao, I said beti padha to hum lenge, beti bacha ab do. It's again comes down to that, you know. If you're sincere about it, you can implement it. You are on power.
How about making it an election issue then?
there's no point. There are so many manifestos, so many election issues. Nobody, once you are in power, you forget about it. Now, it's people like us, who are the grassroots workers. We face these kind of things in a day-to-day life. And we know the agonies the families go by, That's why I said it's not just killing of two people. Mm-hmm. You have to take into consideration the safety of the family members, the rest of the people. And if the community throws you out, where do you go? So it is high time you have to come up with the rest of the dynamisms involved in it, not only punish the guilty, right, not only punish the perpetrator, but give them the support. Support system should be enhanced. Right. Police should be involved. Law should be involved. At the community level also, there should be vigilance that yes, nobody is, defying by the
choices they make, yes, in terms of the partners that they choose.
Yes. It is easy to bring about this because, as I said, this is not an ailment which has come up all of a sudden. This has been there for decades.
So you've talked about this urgency for a law that specifically caters to such cases of honor killings in India. But how then, let's say we have a law, but laws are misused, and we know of examples in the past. For example, if we talk about the dowry law, that's been misused. So what would you say to those people who say that, okay, will the law make that much of a difference? What if it is misused?
See, the laws are there already, but adherence and implementation is the aspect where we fall short of. Even for rape, when Damini case happened, we were the front runners, We said bring about a deterrent. Unfortunately, the rape cases have been going up, but look at the punishment. You talk about human rights, you talk about the deterrent punishment, there are conflicting views, but what about the victims? Our legal system, unfortunately, is more favorable to the perpetrator than the pro-victim.
Right. What do you have to say? Because, while doing up my research, I learned that this is a global phenomenon. It happens in countries like the UK as well, but predominantly in South Asia. You have about 5,000 people who are victims of honor killings across the world. Of course, the maximum cases, as I said, in South Asia. It happens in Morocco, Turkey, Iran, Iraq, Chechnya, Albania, some cases even in Canada and the US. But then it's again the Asian community that is cases relating to them come forward. Pakistan already has enacted a law. It's come up with amendments after that Qandil Baloch case this year. Yes. So what is it now that India needs to do to, gear up, pull its socks up and say that, yes, this is a problem that we have and we need to have a specific law?
Look around and come face to face with the reality. As you rightly said, it's the vote bank, it's the politics. If you meddle up the whole lot of things, you can never reach a conclusive reform. Reform means you have to strategize, you have to really mean business and bring about. If the other countries can do it who are smaller than India, I'm sure. India has been facing it for so long. It's high time you should bring about the changes.
All right, social reforms coupled with a stringent law, that's what we expect when we talk about these cases that come into light repeatedly of honor killings, young men and women who are victims of honor killings in the country. Thanks so much, Dr. Datta, for joining us this evening on WION and sharing your thoughts with our viewers. On that note, we're taking a very short break. We'll come back with more news and updates. Do not go anywhere.